Hi, Misha here, and it's time for another airplane and firearms partnership or companionship video, whatever you want to call it. Today we're going to look at Taiwan. We have an F86D, so-called Sabredog, from the Taiwanese Air Force. Of course, this is 1960s, so a little before the time of this gun. But here we have, honestly, one of Jay and I's favorite guns. We both have one. This is a Taiwanese T91 Carbine. So, we'll talk about this for a minute and we'll get back to the model. This is a semi-auto only. We have several build videos and history videos on this, but we haven't talked about it in a while. This is basically the Carbine version of the T65, which was a rifle that Taiwan adopted after using the T57, which was their version of the M14. They're one of the few nations that use the M14 besides the USA. Basically, this is an AR-15, but it's piston driven. And the gas piston system really dates back to the 1960s, the Armalite AR-18, AR-180, and was simplified and improved for the T65 rifle, which went into service in the 70s. It had a 20-inch barrel, was pretty analogous to an M16A1. And then in the 1990s, they began working with carbines. The T86 came, and then the improved T91, which is basically their M4. Features include, as I said, a carbine length gas system, which is a piston. This particular version has a 14.5-inch medium profile barrel with permanently attached flash hider muzzle brake. Has a removable carry handle, carbine length extension, which is a total of 3 positions, kind of Car 15 style. As you notice, no real anything on this side. It's slab side. This is an A1 lower. Flip it over. A1 type port door. No real brass deflector. No forward assist. And this is in current service to this day. This started off as a Wolf A1 upper. 14.5 inches, pretty much the standard length. We pinned on and welded on the flash hider device. Got the carry handle and much of the rest of the parts from T91 Tactical. Sean over there is an awesome guy. The lower is from Nodak Spud, typical A1 lower. And then the stock and extension are again from T91 Tactical, as are the lower parts. And this feeds from standard AR-15 mags, because obviously it would. It's a Nodak lower. Neat gun. The uppers are pretty darn affordable for being a piston driven, $500 or less. You can get a basic AR-15 lower for $50. And even the parts imported from Taiwan, brought over here, they're very affordable considering what you get, and that they are military grade. These come straight from their factory. A few changes we've made aside from pinning this on. We have the actual military type gas block here with bayonet lug and the small rail for a bipod or laser, and the military style sight with military style sling swivel. Have the lower parts kit, like I said. All this, I mean, the whole build, it done the way we wanted it here, about $1,000, but you could do it cheaper if you weren't too picky. I mean, if you just drop this on a standard M4 lower, it would look really close. But what's nice, it's 5.56 NATO, 223, and it's piston driven, and most of your other piston guns out there are infinitely more expensive. And this is reliable and fun, and just something that everyone should really check out. I would say it's the economy choice to like a SCAR or really an HK MR556, but I don't mean that in a bad way. In fact, really I like this a lot better than the MR556. It's just as reliable, it's a lot lighter weight, it's just as adaptable, and yeah, just a neat gun. But yeah, this is what Taiwan is fielding today. So what about the old Sabredog? Well, I bet a lot of you do know about the North American F86 Sabre. Well, this is the Interceptor version. This model is 1/72 scale diecast from Falcon. Unfortunately, they are no longer in business. They've been out of business since around 2014, which is a shame because not many people make the Sabredog. This started off as the YF95 in 1949. North American started with the F86A and updated it to be the first single seat, all weather, in other words nighttime, jet fighter interceptor. It first flew right around Christmas of that year, but then in 1950 they renamed it to F86D, really to make it not look like a whole new project. It was a funding thing to say, hey, it's just a variation of the Sabre, even though it's only about 25% parts compatible with the original Sabre. What was revolutionary about it, aside from the radar system, this was the first not to be fitted with cannons as its primary armament. The F-86 did use machine guns and later cannon. It was made to use the 70mm folding fin so-called Mighty Mouse rocket, which 24 were held here and in a drop-down tray. So essentially it would fly up to intercept, say, a bomber, and then lock on with radar and open up and just fire a bunch of rockets at it and hope to take it out. It's about 40 feet by 37 or 37 by 40 feet. You can get over about 720 miles per hour, and it can climb up nearly to 50,000 feet. It was considered transonic. They would produce about 2,800 F86Ds between 1950 and 1953. They would see some use in Korea. They would see use in the U.S. Air Force as a primary interceptor throughout the 50s. There was an export version, a NATO version called the F86K, which could have 4 20mm cannon instead of the Mighty Mouse missiles, or rockets I should say, and a different radar because of this. But the U.S. Air Force would pretty quickly retire. They would be out of service by 1960-61. That's kind of where Taiwan comes in. Taiwan originally would get some F-86 Sabres and would be the first nation to use the original Sabre with the very new at the time AIM9B Sidewinder missile. Had 2 of them, and it would have a shoot down of a MiG-17 in 1958. It was the first recorded air-to-air missile kill. Then in 1960, Taiwan would acquire around 18 to 20, depending on which source you read, F-86Ds and fly them actively through about 1966. And they wouldn't always rely on the 24 rockets instead, and they wouldn't even rely on cannon. They would fit these with 2 AIM-9 missiles. And that's kind of what makes this model neat. Not many companies have done the Sabredog, and when they do, they usually have the rocket pod. So to have one And the ROCAF, the Taiwanese Air Force livery with the missiles and drop tanks is pretty neat and makes this pretty distinctive. Other nations, of course, used the F86D and F86K. They were even produced under license in France and Italy for a time. And there was an upgraded version known as the F86L. That's a story for another day, though. This model is pretty heavy. Falcon was not known for having the best detail, but they were known for being very economical and still having good detail. For example, this has landing gear up or down. It's solid metal. It does have an opening canopy with seat. The figure doesn't come with it, but luckily Hobby Master figures will fit these. So here's you stick one in. It has basic engine exhaust and stuff, but I just thought it was neat, and I like the combat history of Taiwan. So if you kind of enjoy things like this, model reviews, I do have a personal channel just under the Misha name. We'll link below. I've already covered the Sabredog standard variant, so I thought for this channel and the crossover video we'd look at the missiled up version and compare it and just have it on the table. These do come with a simple little stand, but it works well. There's a little plug you can put on the bottom of the plane if you want to display it without the stand, so you don't have a hole. Pretty thoughtful. And again, we have had a T91 playlist, and I've noticed it's floated to the bottom of our playlist just because we haven't updated it in a while. And I wanted an excuse to talk about this gun again, because it's really fun. And it was a lot of fun to build. It was the right challenge level to find the parts. It was a little bit challenging, but not frustrating. And again, most of this is thanks to T91 Tactical. But Wolf has to be given credit to for importing the uppers. So good on both of them. So if you're interested in this, check out that. Alrighty guys, if you have any questions or comments, as always, we welcome them below. If you could, like, share, and subscribe, and also check out the link to our Patreon page. $1 goes a long way. If you can support, that's awesome. If you can't, just sharing, subscribing is awesome too. This is Misha, and we'll catch you very soon next time.